Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Beyond the Tech. My name is Neda Maria Kaizumi, your host, and today we have a very special guest, Carolyn Brand. She's known as the Empowerer and is a leadership coach, speaker, and founder of the Bolder Woman program. With over 30 years in global high-tech and corporate leadership roles, including at Rolls-Royce, she now helps professionals build authentic personal brands and lead with confidence through her 4P methodology persona: purpose, presence, and positioning. Welcome to the show, Miss Carolyn.
Thank you, and thank you for inviting me here. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Let's start from the beginning. How did your early career in corporate leadership shape your approach to empowerment?
I think in an easy way to say that, I learned that you can prove yourself without losing yourself, and that's the real power of leadership and empowerment. What do I mean by that? I started my career 30 years ago in a very male-dominated environment. And in fact, all my life, it's always been very male-dominated. And I always felt I had to prove myself. I had to be tougher than the men. I had to be faster. I had to be more efficient than anyone else. And if I could do something better or achieve something bigger than one of my male colleagues, it was a thrill to me. But it also showed after a few years that actually many years, I wish it had been earlier, that the cost of hiding my true self, where I hid it so much that if you'd have asked me, who are you? I wouldn't have been able to answer you. I would have just told you my title and what I achieve. And that's how I realized by losing yourself, you're limiting your growth, you're limiting your power of leadership, and you're limiting the empowerment that you have of others. Because I unwittingly and unknowingly reinforced the glass ceiling, and I actually put women off becoming leaders in the organization because they didn't want to be like me. When they wanted to be a leader, they looked at me and they don't want to be a leader by like you. You're too kick-ass, you're too dominant, you're too this, and you're not liked so much. You're respected, but you're in awe. People are in awe of you, and they're a little bit afraid of you. And so that's why now I focus on authenticity and helping others to lead with this inner confidence without losing who they are. And every day I remind myself who I am because I have my persona anchor, my roots on my office wall. So if there's a day where I feel a bit lost, I look at it and I remind myself who I am and how I want to show up.
And that's so beautiful. I can definitely identify myself with the challenges that you had of proving myself in a man-dominated environment. But what led you to move from the corporate world to coaching and speaking? That's a big shift.
It is a big shift, and it's not one that I actually consciously took. My step outside of the corporate world wasn't necessarily to go into coaching and speaking. I just ended up, burnout showed me that success without authenticity isn't sustainable, which I've already said. So now I help others avoid that trap. After 25 years, I hit burnout. I realized that the success I'd built my results on were actually on a sandy foundation, and it started to crumble. And my facade started to crack, and I felt really exposed. I didn't know who I was, but I knew what I'd become I didn't like. I started to strongly dislike myself and dislike the type of person I was professionally. And I knew the only way I could change or reflect or regrow or get strong again was to actually remove myself from the corporate environment, because it was no longer the right environment for me. I had a great career. I loved the company I worked with. I loved my colleagues. I still in touch and got some great friends from Rolls-Royce. I learned so much from working in that organization, but it came to a point where I stopped growing and I started to die. And that's when I left the corporate world. But I was totally lost for a year. I got a career coach who just kept saying, what companies do you want to work for? And there were other corporate companies. I said, if I wanted to be in the corporate world, I would have stayed where I was because it was a good company. I don't know where I want to go. I don't know who I want to be. I don't know what I want to do. And I just kept hitting roadblocks as I was trying to find different avenues. And then I just hit rock bottom and I had a complete meltdown and a complete burnout where even my friends said to me, you're always the strong one. You're the one that we turn to. And now we feel really awkward because you're no longer that strong person. And at first, I felt a little bit hurt by that because I can't always be the strong person. I sometimes need also help and support, but I'd realized I'd never been vulnerable with any of my personal friends or any of my family. So they were never used to me needing support. So I was like, okay, I need to work out how to support myself and how to ask for support. And as I went through a year's burnout and came out the other end, I realized I'd unknowingly coached myself. I was still lost about what I wanted to do, where I wanted to go. And one of my very close friends, who's a businesswoman herself, she's a founder, and she said to me, Carolyn, I think what you need to do is you need to help women like me professionally, because what you've just gone through, added on to your corporate career, added on to your business strategy, women founders, women entrepreneurs, women leaders, we need this type of help. And that's how I happened to fall into coaching, strategic consulting, and speaking.
Wow, that was powerful. And was it there that you developed this 4P methodology? And maybe you can tell us a little bit more about that, because probably audiences would like to hear that.
Yeah, it was actually that, because once I'd gone through that, and this friends kept saying, you know, people would pay to work with you. And I said, what have I got to deliver? And she explained all the experience I have. And then she said, I just think what you've gone through. And so I did. I sat down and I wrote out the journey that I took. And I realized when I started getting clarity about who I was, before even thinking about where I wanted to go, I realized I'd gone very deep on my inner reflection, and I've worked out my persona. Who am I? What do I want to be remembered by when I'm like, I went and wrote my eulogy, what my children or even grandchildren to say about me when I'm no longer there. And I'm like, that's how I want to be remembered. And then I brought that back to where I am, where I was at that time. And I'm realized, okay, this is the person that I want to be, but am I changing myself, or have I got any of those? And yes, I want to be bold. I was bold. I wanted to be courageous. I was courageous. I wanted to be strategic, but it was more the softer skills that I wasn't. I wasn't empowering. I was more overwhelming. I was not inspirational to people. I was more demanding. I wasn't thinking about how I could help others grow. It's like, how can I get results? So I started to switch the mindset that delivered results for company and myself, and thinking, how could I do that for other people? And have I got those traits and characteristics? And that's how I came up with this 4P methodology, where I started with my persona, which, as I mentioned before, it's my persona anchor. It's my tree roots. It's the 8-9 different characteristics and traits and strengths that I have, that I tap into on a daily basis of who I am. From that, I was like, okay, this is who I am, and this is how I want to show up every day, personally and professionally. How can I show up every day professionally by using those characteristics and traits? And so I started to write my why and my how, which is my purpose. And then I was like, so how do I position myself? It's like, you can position yourself as a coach, as a strategic project manager, as a strategic consultant, sharing your knowledge, speaking. And so this is when I was like, okay, now I have my positioning. And then how do I show up? And in my behaviors, in my voice, in what I say, what I write, just my energy, just how I motivate myself and others, which is my presence. And then when I looked at that, I was like, okay, so I've spoken about who I am, my persona, my purpose, my why, my how. That's my purpose. My positioning. Where do I want to be? How can I live that purpose and deliver that purpose and create that impact? Okay, that's how I position myself. And then my presence is, and this is when, if I break that down into 4 simple steps, there's a lot more behind it. I've got this methodology that I can explain to others how it can help them. And I can help them because I simplified it to actually use it. And it's not just a methodology, it's a toolkit. And it's about starting with who you are authentically, how you can live every day who you are, that you are happy with how you're showing up, your purpose and your presence.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I learned at least a lot, and I'm sure listeners did. Well, I ask you something. You're a coach for tech people, and nowadays AI is everywhere. Some people have phobia of not using it. Some people are overusing it. So, what kind of people are you usually coaching, and what do they get out of it? And how do you encounter with people who are afraid of using AI?
Yeah, that's a very good question, because that's something also personal to me about using AI and ChatGPT and all the additional tools. So I help women leaders, women professionals, women founders, women entrepreneurs, whether they're directly working in tech or whether they're working in other male-dominated environments, which has a technical background like engineering, also banking. Now it's very technical. I don't think there's many companies that don't have a tech element to them. And I work with women who are looking for growth potentials, but they're unsure how to step up. I work with women who maybe want to change their careers, holding back, are feeling overlooked, not recognized, and are feeling overwhelmed. And so I work with them to help them understand who they are, what's their purpose, and then how to put that purpose into activation to step up, show up, and accelerate their careers with confidence, not just out of confidence, inner confidence. And the results are clear. But actually, some of these people, even though they work in tech, they do have, myself included at the very beginning, is why would I want to use AI? Why would I want to work with ChatGPT? Will that overtake what I'm doing? But then I sat back and I thought about it. No, it's a tool, just like any other tool. And if you use it correctly, it can really, really help you. So when some of my clients will say, I don't know what's out there in the market, I said, well, look at the tools to go and find out what's in the market. Like, how could you position yourself to go and have those salary discussions? Is find out what your market value is. How do I do that? AI, ChatGPT, put in what you've done, your CV, where you would like to go, the type of industries, and say, if I went out onto the market, what would be my value? What would be my market price? And how valuable are my skills? And use that as part of your recruitment, part of your research, part of your growth. And I'm a great believer I think ChatGPT AI is a tool. It's there. And it's going to grow. And as a woman, the more we use it, the more we'll influence it. And rather it being grown by the typical alpha pale male, stale male, have it listen to our voices. We use it to help us. And so I think embrace it. Don't rely on it, but use it as an additional tool with all your other toolkits.
That's very well said. And I assume that a lot of women are attending your coaching sessions because that's obviously what I hear, that they are afraid of negotiation and so on. Is that why you started the Bolder Women program, or can you tell us about that?
Yeah, a lot of women do approach me and they want, I'm going in to negotiate salary promotions. I'm going into an interview. It's come to the crunch, negotiate. And, can you help me on this? And I do ad hoc negotiation coaching and negotiation training, but it's not addressing the root cause. And I think if you get bolder and more confident in your inner self and your anchor, you won't even stand back from negotiation. But why are the root causes? Why do women hold back from negotiation? Or why do they say they don't like negotiation? It's a mindset. So to change that mindset, I work with women to reframe how they feel about negotiating. So rather than going in and demanding and asking and conflicts, is look at negotiation as solution. You're finding solutions, you're problem solving, you're collaborating, you're actually growing and nurturing solutions. And women, we love to do that. We're great at solution orientated. We're great at addressing problems, and we're great at wanting things to grow for the benefit of everybody. So when you reframe your mindset to say, I'm not asking for a price, I'm offering you something that will help you, and there is an investment involved. I'm not asking for a salary increase. What I'm doing is I'm showing my company the benefits I can bring. I want to have a collaborative discussion on how, with my promotion, my leadership skills, there is a mutual benefit for my leader, for the company, and also for myself if I can grow to get these additional benefits. And that's why then when I find women who come to the Bolder Women program, they don't want to just talk about personal branding. They don't want to learn just about personal branding. There's the toolkits that help them live their personal brand every day. So when I get into the positioning, which is also part of negotiating, whether it be stakeholders, whether it be negotiating for your company, whether it be negotiating for yourself, it's all about the communication and the collaboration and the leadership style of communicating.
And that's very good, actually, for a lot of women around the world. I know that I have personally met a lot of people who doesn't want to negotiate, and I know exactly what you're saying. I myself don't negotiate most of the times because I'm kind of shy, and I think, okay, let them feel a little bit how I perform first. But why do you think this negotiation skills is especially important for women?
I think actually negotiation skills is important for everybody. It's it's a skill we use daily. We're negotiating without even realizing. Even if you look at your personal life, you're negotiating who's walking the dog, whose turn is it to take the rubbish out, whose turn is it to do the dishwasher. We're negotiating and managing stakeholders and influencing in our personal and professional life on a daily basis. It's important because it is a leadership skill. It's a growth skill. If you imagine you are a product manager in tech, and you're delivering a new product, a new tech launch, you're going to have to work with different teams, different leaders, and you're going to have to get their buy-in. If you don't have good influencing and negotiation skills, you might not achieve that buy-in, or you might hold back from achieving that buy-in, so you're not going to be as successful in the launch of the new product. Where if you are confident and you don't even need to tell yourself, I'm going in to negotiate, but I'm going to go in and collaborate with these leaders to develop this new product, which is going to benefit everybody, plus our own efficiencies, you're looking for the positive side of it. And then when somebody starts to say no to you, once you get confident in these influence and negotiation skills, then you start to actually enjoy those no's rather than okay, well, I think I need another solution. Somebody says no to me when I'm negotiating or I'm influencing. I love it because it gives me the possibility to ask lots of questions. Is this a no now? Or is it a no always? Why are you saying no? Do you not have the resources? And then you find out why that person is saying no. If you're not good at asking questions and collaborating, which are the key skills for negotiating, you'll never understand why somebody is saying no to you. And it might not be a final no. So to me, it's a must of a leadership skill to learn.
Exactly. Now I feel like at least so much educated after this conversation. Thank you for sharing that. Well, what is next for you? This was really helpful, but where else are you going?
Well, I'm staying with the bolder women. That is something that's really important for me. I've got some scaling up ideas where I want to bring bolder women and building projects that link authentic leadership and sustainability, because I also work as the strategic consultant in R&D for sustainability, for positive impact within industry. So I want to keep my fingers in the industry, but I don't want to work in the corporate world. And there's a lot of women that work in sustainability. Actually, the few people I work with, there's more women in the projects there are men, which is wonderful. I enjoy that so much. And so I want to bring these bolder women skills, these personal branding, and link it up with actual projects as well. So I can go in as a strategic consultant on what's needed from the industry, but also what's needed to build the team to deliver that R&D, and also to look on when you change value chains for circularity and sustainability, how can personal branding help the leaders manage that? So I want to expand the Bolder Women program, collaborating with leadership projects across Europe. And my focus is on helping more people build more teams, authentic impact. I want to also create a community, so all the alumni as well. I also want to start doing some programs that are recorded, so people have access to the program, even if they can't join the program in person or do the coaching or actually come to one of the conferences where I do the workshops. So for me, it's all about the growth, creating more ripple effects. And so that's where, even as a technophobe, I'm going to look more into the AI part as well.
Beautiful, and thank you for sharing that. So let's build on that question, and that's my actually favorite question in this show, that if you're given the entire resources in the world regarding the time, resources of human being and money, whatever, and you don't have to be worried about work and food on the table and the family, what project would you do to or pursue in future?
I would launch a global women's leadership network for women in tech, women in male-dominated environments, a network that connects authenticity, sustainability, and bold change that underpins the ripple effect. And I would do that for a number of reasons. And I would actually like to do it also in the countries where women do not even have the voice that we have in the Western world. So I've done some workshops online with women in Africa. There is a big women in tech in Africa, and they are great, those women. But the women in Africa, a lot of them have voices. They are sometimes the main earner in the family. But what I would love to do is to go into the other countries where women aren't valued as much. So for me, it would be expansion with the Global Women's Leadership Network. The other thing I would like to do, as well as that, is I would like to start working with younger men and bring younger men into this network for two reasons. I think younger men seem to have more empathy and emotional intelligence than their the older generations. And I think they are starting to recognize that they have imposter syndrome. They are holding back. They do doubt themselves. And I think if we can start working with younger men as well to help them overcome that, we will end up with not having so many biases. But to finish that off in that global network, I would like to bring in more of the old school male leaders as well, because I think it's a top down, bottom up approach.
Beautiful. And it happened to be that we are a family of three, and we have a younger man and an old school man and a woman. So we all will sign up for your global network. That will be nice.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Yes. Okay, last but not least, the podcast is called Beyond the Tech. And I always think that there are people behind both the algorithm and people who make it, people who are in the list to be, used in the algorithm. What does Beyond the Tech mean to you personally?
Simple. It's about the people. You could have the best technology, the best product, the best one that's coming into the market, but if you don't have the people and value the people and value the authenticity and leadership that can drive true transformation from a technical side and also the people side, then I think the technology will fail. It's not sustainable, because technology is only as strong as the people that are working behind it. And for me, it's putting leadership, authenticity, human choice at the center of the tech companies, allowing and embracing the vulnerability. When I go into companies where they have those moments where they say, okay, not what are the great things you achieved in the last week, but let's talk about what didn't go so well in the last week. Has anybody got anything to share? And then you've got a leader stepping up to say, yeah, I've got something to share. I made a decision as a leader and it was the wrong decision. What are my lessons learned from that? Whether they're male or female, I think that is wonderful. And so for me, it's about authenticity, it's openness, it's true leadership, it's about the people, and it's about valuing and recognizing and appreciating the way people are different, and helping them develop their strengths rather than focusing on what they're not good at. Because you have a team. I learned after 10 years at Rolls-Royce, where I was always trying to employ what I realized later was like people, mini me's. I started to employ people that were the opposite to me and complimented me, because one leader told me, you have a team, you don't need to do everything yourself. What you need to do is to be able to grow that team and let them all find their place in the team, that you succeed as a team.
Wow, that was powerful and a very nice ending here. Thank you for sharing that. I'm definitely inspired, and I am sure that our listeners will like it. Thank you for this conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Carolyn Brand, thank you.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's been a wonderful way to spend my Friday afternoon. And I look forward to remaining in contact, networking, communicating, and Neda working together to keep continuing the ripple effect.